Imagine waking up one day and realizing the people around you shaped your beliefs. And suddenly you can't unsee it, how certain patterns feel normal even when they hurt. You keep choosing what bruises you and you call it fate, but it's often familiarity. By the end, you'll understand why the same pain keeps returning and how to finally interrupt it. If you've ever said, "Why does this keep happening to me?" This video is for you, because repeating pain isn't always about bad luck. It can be about invisible training, small moments that taught you what love looks like, what you deserve, and what you should tolerate. Here's what you'll learn. First, how your brain confuses familiar pain with safety. Then, why you keep reenacting what you never fully processed, especially in relationships, friendships, work, and social media. Third, how your identity can get tied to suffering, so peace feels suspicious. And finally, a practical way to break the loop without blaming yourself or pretending the past didn't happen. Here's what most people miss. Repeating pain is rarely a conscious choice. It's usually an automatic system running in the background, trying to keep you emotionally consistent. So let's define the core idea in simple terms. You repeat the same pain because your mind is trying to resolve an old emotional pattern using new situations, not because you want to suffer, but because your nervous system wants predictability. Think of it like a mirror you didn't choose. You walk into a room, and before you even speak, you're checking. Am I safe here? Am I wanted? Do I have to perform? And that mirror reflects back whatever you were taught to expect: approval, abandonment, criticism, silence, chaos. Now watch what happens next. When the mirror becomes your map, you can mistake the familiar for the true. You chase the same feeling, the same dynamic, the same ending, just with different faces, different jobs, different timelines. But then, you start to notice a strange detail. Peace can feel empty when your baseline has been stress. And that's when you realize the twist. Your pain may be repeating because it's trying to prove a belief you didn't even write. So here's the open loop. What if the pattern isn't who you are, but what you learn to expect? And what if, starting today, you could teach your brain a new definition of normal? Principle 1. Your brain prioritizes familiarity over happiness. This isn't poetic, it's survival logic. If your early environment taught you that love comes with tension, you may feel calmness as distance. If you learned that attention must be earned, you may feel stable connection as undeserved. Here's what most people miss. Comfort can feel unsafe when chaos was home. Mini scenario. You receive a kind message. Your first thought isn't "this is good," it's "what do they want?" or "how long until this changes?" And that subtle suspicion becomes a filter over everything. But then, you do something that looks like bad choices on the surface. You answer the text that spikes your anxiety faster than the one that brings peace. You overwork for approval, then feel resentful when it doesn't fill you. You stay in conversations where you're not heard because at least the role is familiar. Now watch what happens next. Your nervous system starts confusing intensity with intimacy. A fast heartbeat becomes chemistry. Uncertainty becomes mystery. Being slightly dismissed becomes challenge. Principle 2, you repeat pain to retry the past, hoping for a different ending, not consciously, automatically. Here's the twist. Your mind believes, if I can finally win in this version of the story, the original wound will heal. So you keep walking into situations that resemble the old pattern because part of you is still negotiating with a memory. Mini scenario. At work, you get vague feedback. You spiral, obsess, over-explain, try to be perfect. Not because the feedback was huge, because it touched an old button. I'm not enough. Here's the turning point. You're not reacting to the moment. You're reacting to what the moment reminds you of. And when you don't notice that, you call it my personality, when it's often conditioned protection. But then, the protections create the pain they're trying to prevent. People feel you bracing. You seem distant or intense or constantly proving, and the pattern completes itself. So the question becomes, what does your pain help you avoid? Now watch what happens next, because the answer is usually the key. Principle 3. Repeating pain can protect your identity. That sounds strange, but it's common. If you've been the strong one for years, healing can feel like losing a role. If you've been the one who struggles, peace can feel like you're betraying your story. Here's what most people miss. You don't just repeat pain, you repeat what pain says about you. Mini scenario. Life gets quiet. No crisis, no urgent problem, no emotional wildfire. And instead of relief, you feel restless, like something is missing. And that's when you notice. You were trained to feel alive only under pressure. Here's the twist. When your body is used to stress chemicals, calm can feel like numbness at first, so you scroll more. Start arguments you don't mean to start. Overthink a message, pick at a relationship, overbook your week, not because you want destruction, but because your system is searching for the old baseline. Principle 4. You repeat pain when you confuse boundaries with abandonment, because boundaries change the rules of connection. If you were punished for needing things, you might avoid asking. If you were ignored, you might over-explain. If love felt conditional, you might perform until you disappear. Here's what most people miss. The fear isn't being alone. It's being truly seen and still rejected. Mini scenario. Someone says, that doesn't work for me. And your body hears, you are too much. So you shrink, or you fight, or you leave first. And that's when you notice your reaction is protecting you from shame, not from reality. Now watch what happens next. When you don't set boundaries, you recruit pain as a boundary for you. Resentment becomes a wall. Withdrawal becomes a gate. Coldness becomes control. And the connection slowly collapses, exactly as your fear predicted. Here's the turning point. Boundaries aren't a weapon. They're a message to your nervous system. I can be safe and still be connected. But learning that takes practice, not willpower. But then, a deeper truth appears. Repeating pain is your mind's attempt to keep the world predictable. Healing is teaching it that predictability can exist without suffering. And that's the twist. Your pattern is not proof that you're broken. It's proof that you adapted. So let's bring it home. You repeat the same pain because your brain confuses familiar with safe. Because you keep retrying old wounds in new settings, searching for a different ending. Because your identity may be tied to struggle, making peace feel unfamiliar. And because boundaries can trigger shame if you learned that needs equal rejection. Here's what most people miss. You don't break the pattern by hating yourself into change. You break it by noticing the moment the pattern starts and choosing one small interruption. Here's the twist. The middle is where you win, not the dramatic ending, not the big speech. The middle, the pause, the breath, the new response. Now watch what happens next. Try this do this today checklist. Name the pattern in one sentence. I repeat. When I feel. Catch the first body signal. Tight chest, stomach drop, racing thoughts. Treat it as an alarm, not a command. Ask one grounded question. Is this familiar or is it true? Choose one boundary micro move. Delay a reply, say, I need time, or state one preference without over-explaining. Replace one ritual of chaos with one ritual of calm. A short walk, journaling 6 lines, or 3 minutes of slow breathing. Daily, not perfectly. This is the turning point. If you practice small interruptions, your nervous system updates its definition of normal, and over time, the pain stops feeling inevitable. Ethical note. If your repeating pain connects to trauma, abuse, or ongoing harm, you deserve support beyond a video. A trusted professional, a safe community, or a helpline in your country can help you rebuild safety step by step. You're not weak for needing help. You're human. But then, here's your next move. If this video helped you name your pattern, subscribe for more calm, practical psychology without manipulation, and share it with someone who keeps asking, why do I end up here again? Strong comment question. What's the first sign inside your body or inside your thoughts that tells you the pattern is starting?